folks. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Got a great night to be out anyway, not raining, not snowing, so that's perfect. Let me tell you a little. My name is Steve McDonald. I'm the WMC Engineers, one of the principals of WMC Consulting Engineers. Got a number of people here representing our project team. Keegan Elder is my partner. Jay Costello is my other partner, part of the design team. Then we have numerous town representatives, the town managers here, chairman of town council, Larry's here, representing the town engineering department, and we have the fire marshal and fire chief here, as well as the police chief, to answer questions. And what we're going to do tonight is kind of a fairly brief, hopefully, presentation, because we have a very, very tight time constraint. But keep in mind, this is a kickoff meeting for this project, the Old Farms Road Phase 2 Connectivity and Safety Project. This is kind of an informational gathering meeting, actually. We're here to present a few things to you folks, but we're really here to hear from the public as to their concerns or issues and any comments they may have on the project itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with some ground rules, then we're going to go through some slides to talk about the project and what's involved in it, and then we're going to open it up to questions and answers. So if we click to the ground rules, okay, if you wish to speak, please sign in. We have a sign-in sheet in the back. We also have some cards in the back, too. If you have questions and you want to ask them not firstly, if you want to sign in later, you can sign a card back there and submit the card to us, and we'll get back to everybody. All this information, by the way, is going to be in the town website and a number of other locations, so you'll be able to see the slideshow at your leisure after the meeting. We want to hear from everybody that we possibly can tonight. So we're really interested in gathering information from the public as to what their concerns and interests and issues are. Time is limited. Here we go. The library closes at 8:30, unfortunately. We have to be done by 8:15 because the videographer has got to pack up his things, and Larry informs me that the police show up, the chief's here, at 8:30 sharp, and the building closes, and nothing good happens after that. So we are going to close this meeting at 8:15. But again, keep in mind, this is an informational meeting, questions and answers. When it comes April, middle of April, there'll be several public meetings, but one will be coming in middle of April, and that's going to be more when we have some preliminary engineering done, some actual facts and figures to show you folks about the actual proposed designs, the design alternatives. So that's going to be a bigger meeting, actually more important to the actual design process. We want to hear from everybody, so if you have a question, that's great, but try to keep your time limit to 3 minutes or less. You can ask 1 or 2 questions, that's great, but try to give everybody a chance that wants to ask questions and so we get everybody's answers. So again, just the beginning of the project, we're going to talk about the project purpose and goals and the project overview, and then we're going to turn it over to you folks for questions and answers that hopefully all of us can answer. If not, we will get back to you and we'll consider that input as part of the design process. So again, it's an informational gathering thing, and I'm going to turn it over to Larry, town engineer. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Steve. Again, thank you everybody for coming. Obviously, this is a very interesting project to a lot of people. I want to talk just really briefly about the purpose and need. So this is a stated goal and a state of needs for the project. And this, by the way, is not new. This isn't something that was generated specifically for the reason we're meeting tonight, meaning that the whole Old Farms Road reconstruction, of which this is the second phase of, that's been around in Avon for literally decades. Before my time here for sure, and it's been endorsed by many generations of town councils and so on. So this is not a new thing here, but tonight the purpose again is to get your feedback on the initial stages of the design. So I'm really glad we've got a good turnout. When we talk about overall purpose and need, I'm not going to read the slide, but you get a whole number of things about this. It's been in the Plan of Conservation Development since 1969. It's had historic overall support. The east-west travel demand over 20 years has increased by significantly, and I'm sure most of you folks that travel that have seen that. That's not a bad thing necessarily, by the way, because there's been overall traffic increases over the years too. So there has to be ways for traffic to move. So it's almost natural, and in fact, kind of a goal of the project is to improve the safety, though. That's certainly the key component. Is to improve the safety for not only motorists, but the public in general. That means pedestrians, that means cyclists, that means anybody who uses the corridor, okay? Obviously, reduce Avon Center congestion, reduce mobility. We're talking about there is the other ways to get from east to west, like Route 44, You know, if you're in Farmington, it's Route 4. If you're in Simsbury, it's 185. You gotta get across the river to get, say, to Farmington or Hartford, or vice versa. You know, what's the purpose? Again, overall improved roadway safety, better lane configuration and roadway geometry. If you drive that road, you know that there are pinch points. There are narrow locations that are unsafe, and there's going to be more conversation in a minute about accident history. I want to steal that thunder, but there's obvious signs of accidents all over that roadway. Better lane configuration, better roadside safety, better dedicated bicycle lane, or provided bicycle lane, better drainage and conveyance. You probably see that there are drainage points along that road where the roadway actually washes out. It happened just a couple weeks ago with the storm that we had. Right. Improved emergency response and school bus safety. We're going to have a conversation or a slide about that as well. And then obviously east-west mobility. So again, I didn't want to go through the whole slide. In fact, what I did today is I posted on the town's website under the engineering section. We have a project section. And we are going to continually, as we have in the past, continue to put updates on that section. And I recently posted what I would call the formal purpose and need statement that was derived for the grant programs, for the Federal Highway Administration, and for all the alphabet soup of regulators that have a play on the design of and the funding for projects like this. So in fact, I'm going to use this as a little shout out to when you are looking for information, more information from the town, that site, the town's website, engineering department, and then go to the projects page, you'll see a sort of a sequential list of update information, and we'll continue to do that so that you have some information that way. I'd also suggest, and I'm going to sort of steal a little bit of what Steve talked about, we do have a sign-in sheet back there. The key there is, if you have questions of the project, I really urge you to call me, and I'll get answers from WMC or whatever, as opposed to talking to neighbors and getting perhaps not necessarily accurate information about the project. That's been something I've seen over my years here, where neighborhoods talk to each other, neighbors talk to each other, and that's great. I'm glad you do, but if you really want the full breadth of a question answered, it's better that you get it from me. So. If you sign in there, and especially if you put your email down there, email communication is pretty easy. Obviously, if you have questions you want to talk with the phone, we're always available for that as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to...
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jay Costello. So what I'm going to do is cover, obviously, the town's sort of physical areas of concerns. I'm going to go a little bit about the project itself. Try to give you some idea of what we're looking at, some of the areas of concern, specific areas of concerns that we have. Talk a little bit about funding. I'm going to have the police chief and the fire chief come up and tell you a little bit about their concerns with policing and fire issues. With that, some of the areas of concerns that we started out with, obviously, poor sightline. There's a number of areas of horizontal and vertical curvature problems. The roadside impact hazards, the trees, the slopes, everything is very up close to the road, as Larry alluded to. There's debris here and there that's evidence of people hitting the trees and so forth. So it's pretty tight between the trees and the slopes and the horizontal curvature. There's some issues there. Also, there's a couple of culverts there that carry the streams under the roadway. Those are in poor condition. They're hydraulically inadequate, aging. They're really inadequate width-wise. When you get to them, they're obviously narrow. So there's some issues there width-wise, which are safety issues. And there's as you come to the bridges, just impact hazard of hitting them, as well as the trees and so forth. Roadway drainage, the way the roadway is now, there's inadequate drainage. There's just not enough swales and not enough catch basins. This causes issues in the summertime. In the wintertime with icing and so forth. It also increases the amount of icing chemicals and so forth that the town has to put down. And those chemicals get into the runoff in the sand deposits, and they get into the wetland areas. So those are also concerns that we're going to try to address as we make improvements. So there's a very high accident history there. There's some emergency response problems, and also the school has issues with getting up and down that road and access to the schools. So I'm going to ask the chief to come up, talk a little bit about accident history. and then the fire chief will come up.
So I'm sure, good afternoon, Chief Paul Melanson. I'm sure none of this is new to you about the accidents. Anybody who has driven on that road with this section knows that between Tillotson and Thompson and with those smaller bridges, those are pinch points which then create accidents. So they asked me to look at accident history on this stretch, which would be addressed here. And as you can see, in 2016, I don't know if you can read those numbers, but I'll help. But we start with 2016 over here, 18 accidents just along that small stretch of roadway. And then 12, 18, 14, and then the COVID effect, right? When not many people were driving, there were not many athletic events, schools were remotely, and you can see the numbers go way down, 9 to 6, and now they're coming back up. I did this probably 3 weeks ago, and we had 16 accidents to point. So, and almost all of these accidents these are all accidents that were reported to the police department. So when we talk about accidents along this stretch of the road, we're not talking about total accidents, right? Because just yesterday I was talking to my brother, and I was talking about how I had to be here, and we talked about the bridge, and he said, oh yeah, a couple years back, we hit mirrors, we never called the police, right? It was 2 construction vans, and so, you know, obviously these are only the ones where the police responded. And I did not break it down to injury versus non-injury, and anybody who has been across the bridges can see the accident history there. All you need to do is look at the side of the bridge and you'll see some, obviously, where they've been struck several times. So this is the accident data, and that is actually for a small stretch of road. It's fairly significant. I know we were talking about red light cameras and speed cameras, and reading some of the literature that just came out. They're saying that you could put a red light camera at an intersection that has 2 accidents in a 3-year time period. So that's what they're using for data. Here we have 16 accidents within 1 year. So that's what I have.
Can you define what accidents are and what kind of damage to vehicles or humans?
Well, I would have to break down each and every one of those. So,
Well, you have 16, so they must be categorizable.
So those are 16 vehicle accidents. It could be a car into a tree. It could be 2 cars colliding. It could be at the intersection of Thompson, somebody pulling out and sideswiping another car. And it could be at the bridge where 2 cars then can't get through at the same time and strike each other.
Do you know how fast people are going and if anyone was ticketed for speeding?
Yeah, that. I think we were just looking.
We're going to hold off on the questions if we can till the very end. We'd like to get
Okay,
through.
well, the data's up there, so I'm just trying to.
And we understand. We can go back to it. The slides are available. We can go back to them, but let us try to get through it. Otherwise, we're not going to get through this at all. So we'll get to your questions, please.
This is certainly different from the first meeting, where all of us were told there were no accidents on that road that caused any real damage or had any problem with injury to people.
Okay, thank you.
It's on record.
I'm Bruce Appel, Fire Chief, Emergency Manager. A little bit about just emergency responses for our perspective from the fire department. That route is our primary means to get apparatus to anywhere south of Route 44 on Route 10. So anything along Route 10, Deer Cliff, Open Gates, all that area on the mountain. We have 2 areas. Our fire stations are located throughout town. One is right here by the high school. We have another primary, which is Darling Drive. The apparatus here by the high school responds Old Farms Road anytime there's an accident, a 911 call, or a automatic fire alarm, fire, whatever, because we need to come in from 2 sides of an incident. We can't rely on just coming in one direction. So 2 of our most prominent pieces of apparatus here, our ladder truck. Our ladder truck, all the new apparatus today are 102 inches wide, outside to outside, and then add the mirrors. And the ladder truck is pushing, the new ladder truck coming in to be pushing about 76,000 pounds. It's the size of an 18-wheeler, just because it's a 100-foot aerial device. We need to have that kind of configuration. And our tanker that is also a 3,000-gallon tanker that responds out of Company 3. along with our engine that responds here, travel that route for any emergency on the mountain or any on that side of town. So it becomes critical, the width of the roadways, the no shoulders, pretty much our drivers need to take almost the center of the road when we're driving those trucks down through those streets. We have to go very slowly when we're responding, and unfortunately, in an emergency situation, yes, we drive slower than the speed limit or speed limit to get the calls, but sometimes time is of the essence. It does become a hazard because even though we're going slow, we can't ditch a fire truck on the side of the road anywhere. And if someone comes around the corner because they're not paying attention, it becomes an issue.
Has that problem happened?
We had one apparatus accident. One of our brand new engines went off the side of the road.
And why wasn't the truck, the area stated that they had to move over?
That was just in a normal response. They weren't responding to a call, lights or sirens, and it wasn't a matter of the fact. It wasn't a matter of fact that they were run off the road. This was a weather-related incident. It was poor visibility, and the operator couldn't see the sides of the road. And once the tire got off the side of the road, it just sunk into the mud, and you're off to the races. There's no way to get it back.
All right, please. We're going to stick with the protocol, and the questions will come at the end, and we're going to ask everybody to announce their name. No, I'm sorry. And their name and their address, please, before we answer questions, and we're going to answer them at the end, please. Otherwise, we'll never get through the presentation.
So, hold on a minute. So, Tom just to do 146 Whiting Lane. Let's get to the plan.
Okay.
Because all this other information, it's just a bunch of...
Thank you.
And then you're going to say there's no time left for anybody to ask.
So let's just skip to the plan. Is my
I'll finish what I'm doing here, and I'll get to the plan shortly, okay? So we talked about the concerns the town has, the engineering department has, and I'm going to point out some of those specific areas when I get there. But the goals to address those things, obviously we want to improve vehicular safety, reduce accidents is an important part, improve bicycle safety also, that's a concern that's been raised throughout the region as well as the town. Improve emergency response, safety, time, and efficiency, provide school bus mobility and safety. We also want to provide, one of the major goals here is to provide connectivity and access from Fisher Meadows, the Farmington River area, to the Farmington Valley Greenway, up off of Thompson Road. So that's a primary goal as well. We want to reduce maintenance, winter maintenance. We want to reduce wetland discharge impacts, as I talked about. We also want to improve fish and animal passage into stream crossings. Project funding. Larry mentioned one of the major fundings is we're getting lots of funding from the state of Connecticut for $3.6 million. We're continuing to look at other federal and state funding that might be available, and also the town would have to probably throw in some,
Right. Can you go back to the
some
slide
as
for a
well.
second?
So let's talk about the project.
So the goals,
Sure.
the goal of the project was for safety. None of these other goals.
None of that's
No,
on there.
it's not just for safety. It's
That's
for,
what you told us at the first meeting.
I haven't been to any other meetings,
Well,
so
that's not our problem.
this is a kickoff meeting. We're just starting the project,
This
miss.
is not a kickoff meeting, this is a continuation
No.
meeting from the first part, which did the other half of the project, which was told to us that the tree reduction would be minor, that the roads would be
All right.
changed, and that's not what's happened here. And I don't believe anything you're gonna say is gonna happen on the other
Okay.
half, when the first half is a horrible mess.
Well, all right, for one thing, Larry, if you jump in here, but we were not involved in that first part of the project, certainly. We're brand new to the job. We're just starting this section of it, and I can tell you right now, it's a totally different project in terms of its impacts and everything else than the first phase is going to be. Okay, that's our goal. But again, we haven't designed anything yet. We're looking for input from you folks.
That's the reason we're here tonight, is to try to get some feedback before we jump into the design process. So let me try to get through, and then we can hear from everybody individually. We're going to take notes, and I'll tell you other ways that you can present your concerns, questions as I go through. So let's get you started here and get you oriented, because I have some plans that I am going to show you. But this is Thompson Road right here, and our plans are going to run, and this is the intersection with Old Farms and Thompson Road, and the plans are going to basically run in that direction. okay? And the project, we're going to totally reconstruct some portion of Thompson Road. We're going to change the intersection here to improve the sight lines and safety. We're going to totally reconstruct Old Farms Road all the way down, almost down to Tillotson. And then the trail, we also have a trail that runs all the way along from up here on Thompson Road, where the Farmington Valley Greenway is. The trail's going to run down along here, along down the south side, and all the way down to the parking access to down by the river, so that people can access Fisher Meadows.
So is that a current plan, or is that?
That's the project, sort of in a nutshell. Just to give you a picture of what we're
Where's
dealing
the
with.
existing road?
So
Right where it is.
that is the existing road.
That is the existing road.
That is the existing
Yeah,
road.
yeah.
Okay. So let's go on to that. So let's give you some information. So there's about 3,000, almost 4,000 feet of Old Farms Road we're going to totally reconstruct. Thompson Road about 800 feet. There's a fair amount of trail. Again, the trail is going to run all the way to 2,000 feet on Thompson Road, and then 5,300 feet down Old Farms Road. Existing right now, the posted speed's 25 miles per hour. In reality, safe running speed is less than that. The road width is 18 feet, which is 9-foot lanes, and there is no shoulder at all, no bike lane. There are many places where the vertical and horizontal sight lines are even less than the posted design speed. And you all that drive it know that. So there's no bike lane now, and there's no walkway. So we're proposing posted speed at the same. We're proposing a safe vehicle run speed of 35 miles per hour, which it would be total of 28 feet. 2 10-foot lanes and 2 4-foot bike lanes on either side. The sight line and vertical and horizontal geometry will be designed to 40 miles per hour because we want to get good visibility both vertically and horizontally. And again, we're going to add 4-foot lanes for the bike, and there's going to be an 8-foot trail running all along the south side. So starting out, again, we'll be running, this is Thompson Road right here. This direction here goes up towards 44. This is Old Farms Road right here. On Thompson Road itself, what I'm going to do now is I want to show you, again, this is existing road, and show you some of the areas of concerns that we have, that we've identified, that we're going to try to address with geometric improvements. So there's a sightline issue of concern here, horizontal, right on Thompson Road. There's also an intersection issue. That's why we're going to realign the intersection so people will be lined up better with Old Farms Road. And so now the passage will be more Old Farms Road rather than kind of the confusing arrangement that's there now. So there's an issue there. So there's about 8 of these areas as we go through. So continuing along the road, again, there's this area here is a sightline concern right in this area as we come down from Thompson Road. This bridge here, the first bridge, also is a concern width-wise and so forth, as I talked about earlier. As you continue on down off the page, there's another area, geometric, horizontal sightline issues. Another here. Continue on down, there's a third down here where the intersection for the school with their driveway access there, and then we terminate the project down at Tillotson Road as far as road reconstruction. Again, the trail is going to continue all the way down to the river pretty much.
What's that intersection there? What intersection?
That's the driveway going into the school.
So that's basically the areas of concern that we're particularly noticed as we went through the project and just kind of got the plan set up, looked at the existing geometry and so forth. Those are areas that we're going to try to address. What you're looking at now is kind of what we see as typical sections for the roadway. Okay, and the roadway's in the center. There's 2 10-foot lanes, a 4-foot shoulder. The total roadway width is 28 feet. The trail would be on the south side, the right side if you're heading towards the river. And in this particular section, what we're showing is retaining walls, because there's a fair amount in some areas right where the bridges are, there's wetlands. We want to try to avoid filling in the wetlands where we can. So retaining walls will be used extensively for that purpose. And also where some places where we have slopes that might go into the wetlands, or we can pull them back, we have a retaining wall. The reverse is true on the other side, the uphill side, where we're going to try to, in some cases, we may want to limit the amount of cutting that we do by putting in a retaining wall. We're going to try to add, because right now there's really poor drainage, which creates problems, not just drainage problems, and I said also problems with water getting into the wetlands that contains chemicals, contains sand, that kind of thing. So swales, we're going to try to add swales wherever we can to try to soften that and try to carry the water off the road and along the road, try to get the water back in the ground before it gets into the actual pipes and catch basins and so forth. So that's an important key element here. This section here is just a typical section where we don't have retaining walls. And these are Old Farms Road. The next slide will be Thompson Road. These are
Just
similar section for Thompson Road.
Yeah, I skipped it and John,
We've frozen up.
So if you guys are frozen, Carmen Robinette, 18 Byron, can ask a question, which is, I'm concerned that by just widening everything and improving your sight lines, what you think are problems are actually going to precipitate speeding problems, because people already drive 40 miles an hour on roads that you just said are safe up to like 25 or 30, and now people are going to be going even faster. Like right now, keeping this narrower road.
Until they're done, and then we can ask.
Well, we had a pause.
Yeah, well, that's not what they asked. Okay, they asked.
So,
We can hear the rest of it.
That's why we're going to keep the posted speed low.
Who's policing it? Already no one's driving the posted speed.
Trying to answer the question. So we're keeping the posted speed low, we're keeping the design speed actually fairly low at 35 miles per hour, but we're going to try to increase the sight lines to 40 miles per hour for safety purposes.
For speeding purposes.
Well, again, that's from the town's liability and safety point of view. If you design something for less than what's required, I think the town's liability is fairly high in that case. This would be a policing kind of issue, not a design safety issue.
80 mile an hour impact versus
Okay,
60 mile an
so
hour
speeding.
impact.
Okay, so that's, we really. Go to the actual presentation.
yeah, I
Go to-
understand.
Reloading.
I have to reload it because it got frozen on that first screen.
Pick the slide. So now,
Yep.
so that's Old Farms.
Yep.
There you go. There's Thompson Road. Thompson Road's similar. Again, the trail is on one side because we're going to connect the trail all the way up to the existing trail. Again, this would be a typical fill section. This would be a typical cut section. And then there's also sections where Old Farms Road, we're leaving the existing road in place and just building the trail. There's 2,000 feet of that. So that's typical sections for those. Also the culverts. Again, we want to carry the road and the trail over the road, so we're widening, so those are lengthening those, totally replacing those. We'll also be adding stream bed material down in the stream bed, and we're going to widen those out because we want to provide access through those culverts for smaller animals that really can't make it through the existing one right now. So, anticipated schedule. Well, this is where we are right now. We're really just going through very preliminary information, trying to get some input, and then we're going to start design. We hope to have something to present in terms of design itself in April, at which point we would have another public input meeting. Then we would go into final design and referendums and so forth. We would anticipate doing that probably in late 2024, early 2025. And then we would dive into permitting in the summer, hopefully. These are the kind of permits we're looking at typically. And then we would do bidding, depending on how long the permitting takes, we would do bidding and start construction maybe towards the end of 2025. It's likely going to be a couple of seasons, just because the difficulties of the curvatures and trying to maintain traffic and the school and things like that. So I think we're looking at a couple of systems. So I guess what I'd like to do is if there's a sign-up sheet, I'd like to call on the people. If you would, please announce your name and your address before you ask your question.
Right here. We can pass it around if you like. Jake, we can pass it out. Let's see, let us have the first.
You want to just call them out?
Yeah, yeah. They're just going to raise their hands. So, why don't we start? This gentleman, let's start with the young lady right here first.
Thank you. I have a big...
I'm sorry, name please.
My name is Helen Desidue. I live on Winding Lane, right down here.
Yep.
Signage. I didn't see anything about signage. I think a simple solution to all of this would have been better signage, no trucks, no commercial vehicles over a certain size that are trying to get through these roads and cause accidents. I would like to see more signage. Right here, this intersection on Burnham and Country Club, many accidents, I'm sure you knew, for years, until they put 2 more stop signs and made it a 4-way stop, and there's never any more accidents. So I would please consider.
Absolutely. Yep, that's a good point. Thank you. Let's go to the lady. Just a second. Let's go.
Nancy Usage,
Yep.
Highway Drive, Avon.
Hmm?
First off, I think this meeting is kind of a sham to me, because if this was a capital project, our mailboxes and our e-boxes would have been totally inundated with all kinds of information, preliminary or whatever. We would have been information. We're asked to come into a meeting without any information that we could have prepared for. I think that's an embarrassment and insult to the citizens of Avon. Not only that's already the horses left the barn to Theodore Pope Riddle, because obviously her wishes, and she's insulted too, by what was her wishes about Old Farms, no trees being cut down and whatever. But I think that for us to come into here and not have any preparation is an insult. And as far as cutting down on traffic and speeding, I think that you are correct. It's going to be a speedway there. And we've been here a long time. Penny, you've been here a long time. Slow down. Put some signs up. I think that's a great idea. But I mean,
on the road.
you know, and then all of a sudden, I'm hearing all this about safety and everything else and whatever. What happened to the last meeting? Why wasn't this first? But of course, it's too late now. And all those trees that were not going to be cut down, I went by there and I get sick when I see all the trees and the mess that's there. It's total, absolute devastation. It's criminal.
Thank you. Let's go this gentleman first. We'll work our way around the room.
Yeah, so mine are going to be more questions, so it's going to be a few minutes, so I'm taking my time to do it.
State your name, please, sir.
Tom Desidue, 146 Winding.
Could you speak up a little bit?
Tom Desidue, 146 Winding Lane. So, man, where do I start? So, I'm just going to do it randomly. So what's the purpose of the bike trail next to the street? Why are we putting a bike trail right next to a brand new street that's going to have a higher speed limit? Which is my second question. Why are we increasing the speed limit?
The speed limit's not increasing.
It's at
No.
25
miles per hour.
The sightline speed limit will allow you to see where you're going at 40 miles an hour versus being at like 35.
And slow
Okay,
down.
I misunderstood that.
And the purpose of the trail is to connect the greenway that's existing with Fisher Knotts.
Why next to a brand new, whatever,
Well,
this is considered a highway?
we're going to be disturbing that area anyway, so otherwise the road would be run. We'd have to put it through the wetlands otherwise.
Or somewhere else.
or somewhere else. I mean,
How do we connect Fisher Meadows?
hold on, so, well, that's not, I don't know how to connect it. You're the engineer, you're.
That's how we connect it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The original purpose of this whole project was for safety. And then, and that's one of those slides, you mentioned a whole number of things that the purpose of this project is not just safety. If you're gonna put a bike trail next to a much longer lane, with a lot more traffic going through, that's not safety. That's just expenditure.
Well, it's safer than in the road.
It's not a safety issue.
It will be a safety
So
issue.
it's done commonly throughout the United States and even in Connecticut.
So you can guarantee that there's
And
not
part
gonna
of
be
the
bike
goal.
issues with the new road. I just don't understand why there's a bike trail.
There are cyclists
Well,
who do
one
cycle
of
through
the
there.
purposes of the project, as far as the funding is concerned, is connectivity. That's one of the reasons that funding is approved at $3.6 million. And that connectivity is to connect the trail, is to connect 44 to Route 10, but also the bike trail to connect the Greenway, the Fisher Meadows, and the river.
So if the residents decided that, most of the residents decided that was not a good idea, we should take that into consideration and not do the bike trail?
I would say yes. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, write that down.
Let's go to the back. I'll get this right there first, please.
Hi, my name is Martha Inglese. I live at 2060 Swinhaven Drive. We love this street. It's got a bucolic feel to it as much as I want that to stay because I am for leave as is. I also understand that it's not safe. My request of the engineering firm would be to provide a low impact construction development version so that we can see all of your bells and whistles, but then we can also see something that's been pared down that solves the problem without losing some of the character of the street. We've lost it now with the DOT bridge over the Farmington. Plesson O'Neill did a bang-up job on the north half of what's going on. We have a rotary where we probably shouldn't have one. And I think that a lot of us here would like to see something very low impact, at least an alternative, so that we have something to compare that,
If I can make,
What
maybe make one comment on that, is in terms of the impact, there is
A bare
impact here.
bones,
Pardon me?
a bare bones.
Yeah.
Fix the bridges and that's it.
Well-
No, there's another thing that may need to be
Yeah.
done, but I want to see something that's low impact.
Now, keep
We
in
can do
mind-
this on the Merritt
Keep in mind
Parkway.
that the town has already agreed to narrowing down the actual travel lane. The existing travel lanes are roughly 9 feet now, and we're going to 10 feet for the travel lanes. The pavement width will be wider because of the proposed bike access ways. But-
That is an alternative, that's why I'm
Yeah.
saying, here's something pared down that solves the problem without expanding it, just
Mhm.
so we have something else to look at,
Mhm.
okay?
Okay, thank you.
So I would suggest that, again, we're going to show a slide that has ways that you can contact Larry and the town, but I would strongly suggest that you let the town know what you mean by low impact.
Not low income, low
Yeah, succinctly,
impact.
I mean, just a couple of bullets.
I'm sorry, let's move around. How about the lady in the very back over here, please?
Hi, Nancy Croderman, 85 New Road. I'm going to say thank you guys, because I think your plan is actually fairly decent. I know I'm going to probably be the odd one here. As a nurse, 40 years in the ER, I can tell you that this road is serious, and you have somebody that's hit by a bike with somebody traveling on that road, they're going to have a lot of injury. So having a bike trail on the side, which removes them from the road, decreases your, don't shake your head, Chip, because you know if you get hit by it, you're going to get hurt really bad. It happens here all the time. If you're driving and there's somebody on a bike, you have to pull pretty significantly over to get by them if you want to be safe, right? Like, if you're concerned about their safety, you have to move in order to give them a little bit of room. You never know if they're going to hit a rock, if there's something's going to be in the road. You hope they're watching, but it jumps out at you. So I think it's a pretty nice plan in the fact that we have a road that wasn't put in at the time to be a throughway for the town to a, you know, a larger area or to get out of the area. So it's evolved into that, higher traffic. It's not a road for a lot of through traffic, but we're using it as that. The fire trucks, they don't have enough room. Like, we can say we should stop using the road, but is that reality? Where else are you gonna go in order to get out of town? I think it's a pretty decent plan.
All right, thank you. We'll go with the gentleman in the front here. You would.
Oh, hi, Chip Walters, 56 Stony Corners Road. I guess I want to start by saying thank you for having this session tonight. I think it's really, really important. We didn't have these for the prior project or the one that's just gotten underway. I think it's really important that we're doing this. I'm looking forward to a comprehensive plan of continued engagement, which was promised in June as part of your initial kickoff when you guys got on board, and we didn't see it for 6 months. There's nothing showing what's coming in terms of public engagement. I'm looking forward to that. I guess what I'm struck by most is that I don't hear anything about the character of our town, the character of this road and this corridor as a feature that defines this town, and the idea of minimalistic approach to solving the problems that this road poses. Absolutely, I am 100% behind improving the safety of this road. I did my analysis on it from the Connecticut Crash Database, which is, I hope, where the data that was shown came from, but I don't know. It'd be good if we cited sources. But the analysis there would show you that on that portion of the road, about 85% of the accidents that happen around the bridges.
And fix the bridge.
Without a doubt, there are accidents that, I should say accidents, they're crashes, they're not accidents, they're crashes. There are crashes that happen around some of those bad sight lines. In fact, there was a bad injury that happened on the one coming out of the woods towards the Old Farms driveway that you pointed out. And so that sight line's a problem, and that's got to be fixed. But the vast majority of the issues are around the bridges. I am a bicyclist myself. I am a part of Bike Walk Avon. I am a big fan of connectivity. I want to see connectedness in the town. I don't think that adding another 20 feet or whatever the additional expanse is that we're going to have to cut through that corridor is necessary to create connectivity. There's already plans in the works to run connectivity down Country Club Road. Is that not true?
Country Club Road is a very different kind of project in the sense that we're going to reconstruct a portion of Country Club Road because it's in poor condition, and we have a proposed idea to run a, much like they're describing here, widening the road to accommodate bicyclists on each side.
Yeah.
Okay, we at one point talked about doing sidewalks. It's really not feasible given the grade change and the right-of-way issues and so on and so forth. But I'm going to tell you the truth, that's a pretty heavy lift over there. Not that I want to go too far down that road, because really this isn't about Country Club Road, but we put in for a lots of grant because it's an expensive process to reconstruct a road, like in the order of $3 to $4 million for that section. Okay, we know we won't get grant money from the state unless we use or employ this concept called complete streets. Complete streets is a buzzword, a buzz phrase in the world now that talks about, it's not just about cars and motorcycles, it's about walkers and runners and cyclists and everybody else that wants to use the roadway corridor. So if you're looking for grant money in the state of Connecticut and you don't have complete streets accounted for, you don't waste your time. It's not worth it.
So I guess my question really is, why aren't we looking at complete streets on that section of Country Club?
We are.
The bike path down to the trailhead at Fisher Meadow. There's your connectivity.
We are.
You don't have to destroy the corridor that is Old Farms Road. We don't have to widen it to being 3 times as wide as it currently is in order to solve for the safety issues that are there.
I hear you. I hear what
in
you're
order to
saying.
solve for the connectivity issues that are there. So that's the kind of input that I think we should be having, and that's the kind of discussion that as a community we should be having. Do we value the features and the unique attributes that make Avon what it is? And I get it. Safety is something that's part of what Avon is. But this is a defining feature of this town. So it draws people here, and as soon as we start taking the trees down and start widening that thing, we've lost another unique aspect of this town And that is something that we're just never gonna get back. I think we can solve this another way.
We'll go to this young lady here first, and then over here, and then over there. So,
I'm not that young, but I'm Chris Bracer, I'm at 28 Lawrence Avenue. I've lived here for 30 years, I go down that road all the time. I've taken my son there for soccer games over the years. It is not a safe road. And my question to folks that want our Avon's character to remain, first of all, we are now 20,000 plus people living in Avon alone, plus you have a lot of people passing through Avon to get to Canton and other areas, Burlington, other areas. We have 2 places to cross Farmington River, 44 and then Old Farms Road. That's just the way things have developed, and we have chosen to grow over the last 50 years and put in a bunch of houses over in West Avon. This is a natural consequence of that. One of the points I see, good points in the bikeway, is because there is no way for people to get down to Fisher Meadows. And this would provide a safe way to ride or walk down to Fisher Meadows, or at least get you a lot closer. Certainly Country Club Road, you're still going to have to go down Avon Old Farms Road. So I say that's a positive thing. The other thing, I hear character a lot. What does that mean? Does that mean the cutesy little stone bridges that we've loved over the years? Is it the windy thing? Is that the character that we want? I'm not sure that in a town of 20,000 people with 2 access points over the river, if we can afford to maintain a little winding road. We're not going to get trucks to stop going through there because it is one of 2 access points to our town.
thank you. This, right here.
My name is Michelle Lovitz. I bought a house at 137 Burnham Road 3 years ago because my daughter lives at 97. I wanted to be close to the family. And so I've been coming here for 15 years. And when I come from the airport and I come up Waterville to make that left onto Old Farms Road, I feel like, oh, it's my country home. And this time, so I don't live here all the time. I live in Florida a lot of the year. That's where I raised my children. And over the 42 years that I lived there, we now have a town that is filled with a grid of 6-lane roads. And it would just break my heart to see that happen here. I drove up Old Farms Road on my way here from coming back for Christmas, and it just broke my heart to see the devastation. So my question to you is, I didn't know till now that you're the second group of people who are now working on this project. Who did the devastation on Scoville Road? I'm wondering.
On Scoville Road?
On the area between Scoville Road and to wherever you're putting that right of way, you just can't figure out who cut down all those trees? Who allowed that to happen? I drove up there and I just wanted to cry.
Yeah,
This is your town. This is a place where people come to be in a small town.
Yeah.
You're going to create. Look, I have a Florida plate on my car. When I come here in the summer, I used to think that people were tailgating me because I had a Florida plate. People are tailgating me because I drive the speed limit here. And what's going to happen when you have trucks that are being diverted down Old Farms Road to that beautiful place where people live, right on 10, historical old Avon. When I go through there, I go 30 miles an hour because I'm respecting those people who live there forever. But what's going to happen to them when you start putting all those trucks in? I live on Burnham Road. A policeman is not here. Are you here? A policeman could make their living giving speeding tickets on Burnham Road between 8 and 9:30 and between 4 and 6 in the afternoon. You don't have enough policemen to police all this, and now you're going to widen the roads. I just think it's a terrible travesty to a small town to not come up with another solution other than ripping out every tree on Scoville Road.
Okay, let's, we'll start over here again, I'll rotate around. This gentleman right here.
Yes, sir, thank you. I'm Brian Del Grande, I live on Scoville Road. One of the questions I had was to the town for, I think the project's a great idea. I think getting the bicycle traffic over onto a bike lane is a great idea, advocate that. Question I have though is traffic calming on the ancillary roads. We talk about it being one of the major thoroughfares to cut through from, I work in West Hartford, I'm a police officer in another jurisdiction, so I understand that we all want more enforcement and more slower cars on the road, but that's not a possible task for the police department to tackle. I don't think that should be a burden on the small police department we have in this town. My question is for the town is what's being done, or are there any ideas for traffic calming on Thompson Road, and in particular my interest Scoville Road, particularly with the schools there, the poor sidewalk conditions. It's a common use road for the high school athletes. They run cross country and track every day through there. So I was just wondering if the town had any ideas. I don't think that we should, I think the plan for the wider roads, the bike lanes are a great idea to safen that area. You're not going to be able to slow the cars down 24 hours a day through police enforcement. So my question is there a traffic diet plan or any ideas, speed bumps or something for those two roads and the residents that live on Thompson Road and Scoville Road particularly to solve that?
I can't comment. We're going to try to go back and focus on this project here tonight, but that's something that we can talk to the town about and address in some fashion. But I don't want to comment on it because we're not involved. Again, we're trying to focus on this particular project. Do you want to comment at all, Larry?
Just call me and we can talk about this outside. I mean, we don't want to take the time in this meeting to.
Yeah, I mean, as far as this road in particular, I mean, one of our goals is going to be to try to keep the geometry of this horizontally as close to the existing as we can within the parameters we need to meet for funding and for safety.
We're not relocating the road completely differently.
No, I guess my point was just that the road itself, the way it will be formed, it'll become easier for people to cut through. I think is the point I was trying to make. So it's my concern through that area is not speed, it's the volume of traffic. It only has 3 access points from there, Thompson Road, Scoville Road, or to continue onto the whole farm. So I just wanted something that could be said.
Yeah, again, for this project, we're going to improve the intersection at Thompson Road, but that's as far as, as far as the project itself goes, so I can't. Other roads.
Okay. Who has not had an opportunity? In the back, way in the back.
Hi, so Shannon Keller, 33 Somerset Drive. I have the blessing of going on many roads across the United States. One of my favorites besides Avon Farms is Beartooth Pass. And so I guess my comment would be, in looking at a road like that, if you're not familiar with it, it's very hairpin turned, it's 25 miles an hour. What is it that they're doing to keep it safe? And there are things that you can apply from their learnings to something like Avon Farms. And coming to needing to have a speed limit 10 miles below a safety, maybe not having 15 mile per hour speed limit, so that the safety zone is around 25 miles an hour.
I can't comment on the other road. I'm not familiar with it at all. I don't even know what state it's in. But
Beartooth Pass, Montana, Wyoming.
yeah, okay.
But it's all I'm saying is it's the
yeah, typical. Yeah, out west.
Can we learn from that?
Yeah. We'll certainly look at that in terms of the geometry. As Jay said, we're trying to keep the geometry of the road pretty much what we have today, just a little better sight lines and things. We're not changing the alignment at all of the road per se. We're just adjusting it and giving you better sight lines. Truthfully, in terms of the speed limit signs, I'm not sure there's a requirement for speed limit signs. Can we lower the speed limit to 10 miles per hour, 15 miles an hour? I don't know if the police can know.
So we can talk about the law all day. You have to get it approved by the state. The state will come out and do a study. They will not let you go. So they'll look at the 85th percentile based on the roadway and that sort of thing. But a lot of people say, boy, I want 10 miles per hour on my road. And if we request it from the state, they're going to say no, because they govern, they allow that, and they are the ones who approve that. As far as trucks and no-through streets, any truck, you cannot have a no-through trucks if that truck is going through to another town. So basically, it becomes a commerce law, and we go over this every time because everybody wants no-through trucks. But it's very, very difficult, number one, to get one, and then the second thing is to enforce it. So you can put up a sign, no-through trucks, very difficult to enforce, because if they're going through to another town, then they are allowed to go through. So
How come Granby has them? You go to the airport, and I've got pictures on my phone.
yeah. So again, you can put up a sign for no-through trucks. It's the
Put a
enforcement
cop
of
there.
it. So I would ask
When
you,
you see
Granby,
the trucks go, and arrest them.
Yep.
After a while, they'll get it.
But you can't, but that's my point. If
GPS
they're going
station.
to another town, you cannot enforce that no-through trucks. That's a state law.
I put a
Is that
cop
if
there,
there's
and
no
they'll figure
other
it out.
way? Is that if
Nope,
that's the
nope,
only way?
that's-
They could go down 10 and go 44, they don't have to go
Nope.
45.
Nope, it doesn't matter if there's another way, it doesn't matter, that is within the state law. Because, again, most towns would then put up no-through trucks in a whole bunch of different places, right? Because think about all the streets that would want it. So the way the state looks at it is they try and balance that between, what the residents, and also that they need to be able to have trucks go through.
So a quick follow-up question on that, is it illegal to put a no-through truck sign even though the trucks can go through it?
So we could get approval for a no-through trucks, it's the enforcement of it that would be the difficult
Put a
part.
cop there.
No, that's not what I meant.
Okay, I misunderstood, I'm sorry.
Sure, so you can get approval for a sign, you just can't enforce it.
Through the
Okay.
state. But
Folks-
that's going on,
folks,
you know what
yeah.
I'm gonna do? I just wanted to say, there are some cards here where you can put your name, your phone number, email. If you have questions that you want to fill out, and that way we can leave them at the end, and Larry can get back to you, I can get back to you, or we can have somebody get back to you, because we don't want to miss anybody's questions, or even comments, anything like that that you have.
Okay.
And if you want
I'm
one,
going to
I'll
start
pass it
with
out.
lady in pink, right? I think it's pink, I can't see.
Valerie Marshall, I live at 41 Boswell Way for 41 years. It would be so helpful if you could post on the town's website, kind of an almost like a Sharpie drawing of what is intended, with the bike paths on the side, perhaps. a little
That will
picture.
definitely happen. That will definitely happen. In fact,
But when you had the drawings in the newspaper and on the website, they were so technical, it was impossible to tell
what was what?
going to happen.
Yeah, okay.
Like, when you send somebody directions to your house, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Show where the old road is, the curve you're checking out,
yeah.
how much clearing is gonna go.
As we get into the project, that will be developed. But the drawings that we had tonight are on the website. I understand that there's probably a lot of call-outs and nomenclature on there that's kind of muddies it, and you really can't see what's going on. So we'll can take that into consideration for future graphics, let's put it that way.
We'll take this opportunity before we continue on, but just wanted to let everybody know, because we are going to run out of time, I think, before everyone gets to comment. There are cards in the back that you can fill out for comments and leave here, or drop them off at Larry's office. But more than that, there's going to be project updates on this Facebook page. Okay, and this whole, our whole presentation is going to be on the town's website. You should be able to access this and see it better probably than you can see it from the back. But Facebook, there's going to be a Facebook page. There's also the town website. Further questions, go to Larry. If you have, definitely use him as a resource. His phone number's here. Also, he has, send him an email. His email address is there. There's also going to be a video of this meeting and any other meetings that we do. Oh, sorry. And every other meetings that we do as we go forward. So, and yes, we will post as we begin to develop plans. We will post them, and I will definitely keep in mind to make sure we put something up there that's sort of a simplified plan before diving into any of the detail. I understand that's one thing that we didn't want to do tonight, was to present all this technical information before we got any feedback from anybody. We don't want to get started before we have understanding what people's concerns are, but we do want to try to address them where we can.
So are you doing just one proposal, or are you going to do a couple of alternatives?
That depends. We're going to look at it in detail. When we've done the preliminary work in terms, we've done the survey, we've done borings out there, we've done the wetlands identification. So we've got the base information completed. Now we're going to be looking at it. If there are alternatives, we will look at those certainly, and we will present those. So yes, the answer is yes. Short answer is yes.
How wide of a clear cut would you have to do on Thompson and Old Farms Road, right, Concord Road, and 45 River, in order to achieve the road profile that you demonstrated up here?
Yeah.
28 feet plus the 4 from the drive. Plus
Yeah,
the
do you have
plus
an
all
offhand?
the stuff. What's the clear cut?
Yeah, that information, that's tough to ascertain at this point. You can do a couple of things. You can reduce that width of impact by putting in retaining walls close to the edge of the pavement and the bikeway. Or you could, in lieu of the retaining walls, grade the slope back, which would involve much more clearing and more impacts to the slopes. But
Clearly, phase 1 is devastating. I mean, it's just
right.
absolutely horrible.
Understood,
So
and that's why we show two options where we limit that clearing impact. And the amount of wetlands that we have in this area too also is something that we want to try to avoid impacting, because we do have to meet with DEP and the DOT and their environmental group, and they're going to be looking for a limited sort of impact footprint on the environment and that area. So
all I can say to you is that wider, flatter, and straighter does not equal anyone's mathematics slope. So
Okay, let's keep moving around. We only have a few more minutes left. Let's go over to this front row here, right?
Just a question on the churning. The Avon Old Farms has been clearing quite a few trees in their forest. Is there a possibility of cooperating with them so they can focus on the clearing near the road, making less of an impact from your project?
Can I get your name, please, again?
Oh, Norm Sonheimer, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Nottingham Ridge.
We're going to be working closely with the school on this project. As you know, they have a landowner out there on either side of this road in general. So we'll be working closely with them in terms of that. So
in fact, that's an excellent segue into something I learned just this afternoon, by the way, and that is, the school owns all that property that's adjacent to the roadway, and what many people don't understand is the school did a forest management program north of and in part of this, where the north-south section is, prior to the roadway project. But a lot of people associated those two projects as if they were one and the same, and they weren't. The school did that on their own. That's their right, by the way, as property owners to manage their property, right? As it happens, I learned just today that they're going to start doing the same thing on this, what I call the south section of their property, which is that section from Old Farms Road to the Farmington Town line. So people are going to start to see tree clearing operations in there that have nothing to do with this project. I'm really glad this is an opportunity to tell, because the last thing I want is that people to get the misunderstanding that the town is taking trees down thousands of, 100 feet off the roadway. We have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, nothing to do
We
with it.
will be meeting with the school as well, so we can certainly.
Okay, this right here?
Me?
Yep.
Thank you. My name is Patty Olson.
Yep.
I live at 145 Winding Lane, and I drive this road every day. And it takes me a good 2 minutes to get from Avon Old Farms to Scoville Road, driving the speed limit. And the loss to our, the character of our town, the beauty of our town, I bet most people here don't drive the road that often. For whatever reason, they don't. I drive it every day. I love it. It's like I drive in and my blood pressure drops, and I just love it. And it is easy to drive safely. And not that I'm, I've actually never seen an accident on it, driving back and forth during rush hour. I've never seen an accident on the road. Not that they're not there, but I've never seen them. And to me, this is the prior project, okay? I feel like our town was misled as far as what was going to happen. Like, I don't think people could sit there and go, I couldn't fathom, how big is a 130-foot rotary? how big is your road this big with this on this side and this on this side? And a lot of that stuff, and I had spoken to somebody who had worked on the bridge, they're like, there are rules. This is what you have to do to get your money. You have to have this much clearance, and you have to have that, and this has to be this wide. So I would really like a realistic, explanation of really what you're talking about here, because I'm not sure that, like, with the regular, like, I'm looking here on the thing, and it says the Connecticut DOT requires a design speed of 50 miles an hour for rural collectors, right? That's not what you had said on your thing. You had said it was like 40 or something, like you were talking about a safe something. So what does that mean as far as your project? If they require a 50 mile an hour design speed so that people can drive on it that fast
We will,
for safety?
we will request waivers of certain design criteria in order to meet the lower standards that we want to meet, that the town feels is safe.
But, okay, and that's great. That makes me very
I mean, the
happy.
state could deny us, we have to go before them, they could deny us, in which case, I guess the town would have to deal with it at that point. But we don't want to be designing for 50 miles per hour.
No, and I just think that.
And if we did, there are clear zones that would be required, even for this design speed, the clear zone's gonna be probably, what, 7 to 10 feet?
Yeah, 7 to
From
15 feet.
From the lane line.
Right.
Okay, so we got the 4-foot shoulder already, we would have a clear zone beyond that. And typically it's, in the 35 mile per hour range, it's gonna be 10 feet or so. So, and we'll get it on one side with the trail, and on the other side, we're gonna have drainage and so forth, but also, where we have curves, if we're using a lower design speed, okay, we wanna clear a little bit more so you can see through, because now you have a roadway where the curvature is designed for less than what people are actually, you want to be able to see safely, okay, even though you're making that curve. Right now, a lot of the problem is you can't see 200 feet beyond.
No, but I also drive
So we want to try to
safely.
address those issues as well, and that's part of what we're talking about.
It is, but I'm telling you, I moved here 25 years ago from Long Island, and they never saw anything they didn't want to pave over there. It's a terrible place. It's ugly. When I grew up, it was beautiful. There were farms. There was marshland or whatever.
Folks,
but
okay.
this is not. We moved here, and that is a beautiful road, and it is worth saving to as much as possible.
All right, thank you. Thank you. We're gonna wrap this up real quick. I'm gonna take 2 more
You
questions.
understand we have some competing issues here. Bikers would like it to be safer, so we would like wider shoulders for the bikers. People would like to be able to walk from the walkway and get access to Fisher Meadows and so forth, so we're trying to balance.
All right, folks, all right, we're about to end the meeting. I'm going to go 2 more questions. I'm going to go one in the back here, please.
Nathan Mahoney, 53 Foxborough Road. Because I haven't seen a plan yet, I don't know if I'm for or against anything yet, so I know some people feel very strongly before saying that. But from your estimation, how much will this increase traffic?
Which road is on this traffic?
No.
How much, if this is adjusted to what you assume it's going to be, how much is it going to
We have not done a traffic study to determine that. I think the cars that use it are pretty much going to be using it still, and I'm not sure it's going to increase it, but that's something that we can certainly look at to try to predict that.
Because I know personally there have been times I choose to not go down there because it's busy time, and I assume it's going to increase some, so
It could.
I would guess. Is that number coming sometime that you're estimating?
We'll talk to the town about that for sure. So again, I've driven this road for 50 years now, and I don't avoid it because of the windiness of it. I just am careful about going down there. So I'm not sure about that. But we could take a look at that. I'm going to go, lady in the back, please.
Hi, my name is Phyllis Slips. I live on Cheltenham Way. Since this was a meeting, to hear what people's thoughts were. I know you can't please everyone, but I just want to put a word in for, I'm very much a proponent of the bike path. It'd be great to go from the bike path to Fisher Meadows, so connected. And the next thing I was hoping is that there's money or allocation to do some replanting along the road.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely that. I'm going to go one more. You've already, you didn't speak yet? Okay, go. This gentleman's last one. And we got absolutely kicked out of here at 8:15, and they locked the doors. And
short question.
No.
I have this vision of tractor trailers coming through the side streets, keeping us up at night. And I'm just wondering if there's anything, like you said, we can't put up signs, laws prevent us from doing that. This road is, I think, going to bring in larger trucks. And that's a big concern for me.
Okay. Folks, I'm sorry to end it. We got to get out. There's going to be more meetings. We'll give you heads up on when these are going to occur. Fill out cards. Give Larry a call. Come see us. Thank you very much.